this video is sponsored by Squarespace. Hello everyone, my name is Sara, Dietschy rhymes with Peachy, and today we're talking about note-taking apps on the iPad. And we're starting with Apple Notes because there's a lot of great new features that are coming out with iPadOS 15, which is coming out this fall, this month in September, probably around the new iPhones, which is right around the corner with the new iOS and all that. So they just released a new public beta that I've been on. They've added a few new features and it's really stable, which one can hope for since they're so close to release. So let's just hop into it. Super excited to show you some new stuff. And I want to start with actually an AI feature that kind of has to do with notes. This will be in your Photos app on your phone or your iPad, so it's iPadOS and the new iOS and Android. You guys have had it actually for a minute, but I'm excited for it to be on iPhones. I have a whiteboard desk, so a lot of times I write notes and then I have to erase them, so I take a picture of it so I can remember it later. So this is a picture of some to-dos on my desk, but what is really cool is you see this little icon down here. It's basically like a little paper icon. You click it, oh my gosh, how cool is that? It basically pulls out all of the text from my whiteboard, the handwritten notes. Now, you can see it missed two of them, but one of them I have crossed off and the other is just like half erased. Then what you can do, grab it. Okay, oh, this is so cool. Let's see if it works. Oh, it worked when we were testing. The pressure's on. Okay, it worked going from bottom to up. Okay, copy, and then say I want to go in my Notes app and put that in a new note. Return Verizon to UPS. That is exactly what I had over here. Oh my gosh, that is just so cool. That is so cool. Apple Notes also now has quick notes. So say you're doing some research for something, you're like, wow, this website is awesome. I want to go back to it, but I need to write a note that's associated with it. So for some reason right now, quick notes is pulling up a previous quick note. I don't know if this is just like a beta bug, but I can't get it to create a new note right now. So I'm just going to go in here right now, create one manually and say, let's just write some notes. Wow, this website is great. And then as you can see up above, it says add link. You say add link, it automatically pulls the website that you're on. It embeds the website, you say done, and once you go back to notes, there's a whole new section for quick notes. And you can go in there, reference what you just called out. Beautiful. So as you can see now, actually, when I'm on this website, there's a little icon for the quick note that I made, which is cool. But let's say we go to a new web page. I want to write a quick note about this, but I also want to find, hey, what are some other quick notes? Quick notes. It's not letting me scroll. It's so funny, guys, especially with betas. You prepare for a video, everything works, and then when you're on camera, it's like, nope, I refuse to work. Okay, now we're scrolling. Now we're in business. So as you can see, when you pull up quick notes, you can scroll to your other quick notes to quickly reference what you've already written down. Okay, cool. Moving on. Okay, so let's talk about this shelf because it's relevant for notes. The shelf is basically different instances of the note that you kind of save for later. Throw it on the shelf for later. Honestly, using this new iPadOS for a couple months now, I never really use the shelf, but maybe it might be helpful to you. So say you're multitasking and you have mail on one end and notes on the other. The shelf basically stays isolated to each app, and how you access them is just press the three dots at the top, which are your multitasking settings, and it pops up the shelf. So, oh yeah, great, type, throw it back down on the shelf. But say you want the shelf here, you press the three dots on the mail and it pops up, you know, the other instances of your mail. And then when you're done, you can close it back to the shelf. But this is weird. I don't know, there's just some inconsistencies because when you start looking at the shelf, it stays isolated to this app. But then you do your work and say, oh, I want to go back to that later. Then it goes down to the middle. But then once you start, it's isolated to one app. I don't know. I don't know if I like this, but it's a thing. You can use shelves if you want to save things for later. And it works in multitasking. Okay, next. And I'm sure by now you guys know how to multitask, you know, throw apps to the side using these three dots. I'm glad they added the dots because I think it just makes more sense. People are gonna have a easier time knowing what buttons to press. If you wanna get rid of an app, you basically just go down with it, choose a new app. Oh, terrible that I chose an iPhone app, but You get the gist. Okay, Apple Notes is getting more collaborative, which is actually really cool. If you share a note and you mention that person, it'll pop up as a notification, but also in a dedicated activity feed now. There isn't a dedicated section for comments. That's kind of what I thought was going to happen coming from places like Notion, but everything is basically in the OneNote, not OneNote, in the one Apple Note. And basically to test this out, because I think this was a new addition in the latest public beta, I went to Twitter. I was like, hey guys, who has some of the betas and wants to be invited to their first collaborative Apple Note? And well, things got out of hand. It was actually really fun. And one of my favorite features is something where you can see exactly what people have typed out. And this is like awesome, because on the left here you have everyone's different name, it's color coordinated, and you see exactly what they've added to the note. And this is super helpful. It's almost like a version of Google Docs. I mean, we were in there like going ham. We were seeing things update live. Once we got 4 people in there, it did slow down a lot. So I wouldn't say it's an exact replica of Google Docs where you can essentially use it as like an instant messenger. That's how quick Google Docs is. But it was pretty impressive as is, because I didn't expect it to be a Google Docs, but things updated super quick. With 4 people in there, I was able to hang and keep typing, but we did have some moments of slowdown, especially when people started writing with an Apple Pencil, and it kind of got confusing, but people were uploading freaking memes and pictures, and they were, let's see, adding a photo, scrolling down while you guys draw. Oh my gosh, let's see what the meme is. That's pretty funny. People have dogs, we'll get that, but I'm a loser without a dog, so it doesn't hit the same way. But all in all, this was super cool. The showing highlights, being able to tell exactly what people typed. I think this is going to be very useful for people who maybe don't go crazy into the realm of productivity apps like Notion, Milanote, Craft is a new one, ClickUp. There's so many things like this. For people who are just like a family of iPhones and Apple devices, this is gonna be really handy. And then you can see show activity feed over here, and you can see, wow, people were just enjoying this note. A lot of things happen. Once you click on this, Sara mentioned Zach, it takes you to the exact moment where I did that. So it's really easy to keep track of things, but then it disappeared. So as you can see, things aren't perfect, but we're heading in a good direction. Apple Notes is just getting a major facelift. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is tags. This is just another way that you can get your notes organized. Of course, you can start different folders over here. If you click edit, you can basically add an entire folder, or you can add a smart folder. These smart folders, let's see, recipes. These smart folders will basically collect all of the notes that you use certain hashtags for. So I'm just gonna select hashtag cooking. You can choose another one. So you can choose like, okay, pull all the notes in the recipes folder that have hashtag cooking and hashtag note. I'm not gonna do that, but you can see you can get pretty specific and creative with this. So when we go to that smart folder, let's see, recipes. Oh, look, we have the OneNote where it has hashtag cooking. And again, I'm so used to OneNote, guys. I just try to zoom in. You can't do that on Apple Notes. So the thing with hashtags as well as mentions, this has to happen within the note. There's not a special section where you, again, leave comments or do hashtags. I think people with dedicated productivity apps are maybe used to that being like in a different section, right? But everything mentioning people and the hashtags are all within wherever you put them in the note. It's just another way to organize, another way to share notes, talk to people, and it's a good start. Okay, so before we start comparing Apple Notes compared to all the other great note-taking apps there are, because hey, maybe some students are out there watching this, smash that like button if you're back at school. I am so sorry. I hated college so much. But speaking of that, I found all of my old notes from 2013. Yes, I am old. 2012 through, I guess, 2014, 15 before I dropped out. I was an electrical engineering major. I switched to comp sci, and the notes were very intimidating. I used Notability back in the day. By the way, back in the day, we didn't even have Apple Pencils. That wasn't even a thing that Apple made. So we used, here, I'm gonna find the, yep. Okay, so this was the pen that I would use. You would unscrew it at the end. Blah! No. Yeah, screw it at the end there. Okay, look at this tip of the pen, okay? So essentially there's an actual ball at the end, but then there's this plastic clear thing that is attached to the ball. It's kind of hard to explain, but you can see it. And this basically simulates you touching the iPad with a very fine pointed finger. This is basically how I wrote notes back in my old day. Okay, we get it. You're a freaking dinosaur. So thank goodness we actually have proper pins from Apple. All right, and you know what we're gonna do in the spirit of you guys going back to school? Again, I'm so sorry. We're gonna see if I can still keep up with college Sarah. And I found my notes. So what are the categories I can choose from here?
You've got comp sci, calculus, or circuits.
Okay, comp sci, there's no way I'm gonna remember any programming functions. Circuits, the only thing I remember is voltage is equal to current times resistance. I don't know how far that's gonna get me, so I'm gonna go calculus. Give me a calculus thing to do.
All right, let's have you find the derivative of x 5 over 2.
Okay, hold on. Okay, I'm finding the derivative, which is this, do the derivatives have a little mark or is that integral? Oh my God, I'm already okay, hold on. Okay, what is it?
So find the derivative of x to the 5 over 2.
Okay.
Plus 3x.
Okay.
Plus 4.
All right. Okay, I don't remember if like when you take a derivative, like do you do that little mark? Is that what's doing? I don't know. I remember derivatives were step 1, and then you learn integrals, and integrals was like the opposite of doing a derivative, right? So I think with I remember kind of liking this. I think you bring it over. Oh my gosh. Okay, guys, this is really, I don't know how to do this, okay? Because I think you subtract 1. So I think you bring it, do you flip it? Or is that an integral? I'm really confusing. Okay, so I think you bring it there and then you do like 5 over 2 minus 1 plus 3, because I think you just get rid of the x, and then you just get rid of the number. There's some smart people out there that are just like, what a moron. Okay, I'm not asking for the answer, but I'm just gonna look up how to do a derivative.
So whatever power that is, you drop it out in front, and then you...
Got that right?
Reduce the power by 1.
Reduce the power by 1, but I don't know how to do 5 over 2 minus 1. Well, hold on, wait, that would just be minus 2 over 2. That's 1. So that would be 5 over 2, and then you're left with 3 over 2. Plus 3. Okay, this is my final answer, and if I was using OneNote on a 2-in-1 on a Windows device, I would actually be able to use their feature where it solves math equations for you. I have an entire OneNote video that you can check out in the description below after you watch this and you just want more note-taking content. But what is the answer?
The answer is 5 over 2 times x to the 3 over 2.
Okay, I did basic fractional subtraction correctly, okay.
Plus 3.
Okay, you know what? I'm proud of myself. I can do Calc 1. Congratulations, Sarah. Should you go back to college? They would eat me alive there. I think I'll just stick to YouTube. Okay, let's get into the other note-taking apps. But before that, Squarespace, thank you so much for sponsoring this video. Whether you're a creative and you need a portfolio, or maybe you run an e-commerce brand, Squarespace is the place for you. Hey guys, I'm shameless, and I also use this time to plug my new business, bookblanco.com, as a photo rental studio that you can rent in great fine Texas. And I'm telling you, using Squarespace for that has been not just like so much fun, but so functional. We have people booking on our website every single day, and they can go in there, select the time they want, and we have different appointment types. And you know, it actually got pretty complex when building it out with Squarespace scheduling on my end, but it looks so simple to the end consumer, and then it automatically integrates into my calendar so we can keep track of who is using the space at what time, and then you can also sync that calendar with other services so there won't be double booking. There's just so many great tools to run a business. So even beyond scheduling, maybe you're selling a physical product. Squarespace has a ton of great third-party plugins that you can collaborate with your website. So something like ShipStation, a lot of great things that basically helps you keep up with inventory, collect addresses, and send out your products. So physical products, digital products, scheduling, making a beautiful portfolio with all of your beautiful pictures, videos, and having so many beautiful templates to choose from. I know these aren't the prettiest and most coherent sentences, but as you can tell, I'm just stoked on Squarespace. Thank you for sponsoring, and I think your website should be a Squarespace website now. right now. What are you even doing? I mean, finish this video, but you know. Oh, and another thing I want to mention, sorry Squarespace, I'm going completely off script here, but you can download their app and basically get push notifications when people visit your website. So I basically have it set to, you know, if there's a traffic spike or whatever on one specific day, they'll tell you, hey, you had 76 new viewers of your website, and it'll be on your phone as a notification, which is kind of cool for me to keep track of. I would never do that with saradietschy.com because it's just my portfolio, but with bookblanco.com, I actually want to see, hey, are people visiting our website? Are they seeing it on the outside of the building? Or maybe when I promote it on my videos, are they then going to that website? And you know, what pages are they clicking on? There's a lot of great analytics that you can dive into, not just, you know, via their website, but also on the phone app, which is really cool. So if you want to get started today, you can start with a free trial. Just go to squarespace.com. And if you're ready to sign up, you can go to squarespace.com/saradietschy for 10% off your first purchase of a domain or website. So check it out. Okay, it's time. We are going to compare Apple Notes with GoodNotes, Notability, and OneNote. You guys know I love OneNote because I use a lot of Windows devices and Mac devices, and I need a note-taking app that is completely cross-platform. GoodNotes, Notability, not that, just for Mac devices. So if you are purely Mac, you can pay attention to those notes. If you're more cross-platform, OneNote and a little bit of Apple Notes, because Apple Notes, you can't use a pencil on a Windows 2-in-1, so it's not complete cross-platform. However, you can go to iCloud.com and access your notes from any computer, so it's kind of cross-platform. But OneNote is the only one that basically has a really great iPad app, iPhone app, and also an app for Windows 2-in-1 where you can use your Dell pen or your HP pen and use it with OneNote, and that's why I love it so much. So, hey, we already got the first point down. Cross-platformability, that's not a word, check. Next up, let's talk about how does each app interact with an Apple Pencil and also text, because they are actually kind of different. Okay, something I really like about Apple Notes is you can build just like simple tables like this. And honestly, if you're like, I don't want to listen to the rest of this video, just read this. We have it all here in this table for you. You can go to settings and it's under lines and grids. The only other note-taking app that actually does this and takes it to the next level is OneNote. When you're in OneNote, I swear it turns into just like an Excel spreadsheet if you want it. And it also has some similar collaborative experiences like mentioning people, sharing notebooks, and all of that, which is great. But what we're gonna start with is showing how text and handwriting relates to each other. Okay, so in Apple Notes, we have some text here, right? Which is great. If I wanna continue the text, you know, great. But say I bring this down like here, and I want to write something right here in Apple Pencil. Well, it doesn't actually like that. So let's see. See, it's like, no, you can't do that. So basically what it's gonna make you do is you have to go either below or above text. And you'll see it's gonna, once I start typing, that line pops up and it says, okay, below this line is where you're allowed to use the Apple Pencil. Okay, so if I wanna write text again, I'm gonna kind of touch it a few times until it goes. So it's just, the pencil and text experience is very separated. It doesn't want you to write over text. However, the other programs are actually really good at this, and my favorite one, because I use OneNote all the time. As you can see, I do a lot of notes in here. OneNote also kind of has this infinite timeline, so you can zoom in and zoom out as much as you want. Some people hate that, some people love it. But I can start drawing wherever I want, and it's not worrying about separating the areas, because look, I can even draw around. Like, that's important to me. It's weird. Apple Notes, you know, they should champion the Apple Pencil as much as possible, and they shouldn't be separating it like that, you know? Okay, going over here in GoodNotes, I think the reason why people really enjoy GoodNotes is you just set the paper size, so this is like a normal 8x11, or you can do it horizontally, and then you swipe. And it's kind of like a relationship where it's a real piece of paper and it's not an infinite scroll. It's not Apple Notes where you can't scroll at all, but it's just an infinite scroll vertically. And then if you need to basically do a new sheet of paper, you just keep scrolling and you keep, you know, having more pieces of paper. Okay, so we've already typed something here. You can just, this is, you know, the pin settings you have, tip sharpness and pressure sensitivity. We're gonna go over here and look, we can circle things. Apple Notes, do this. I like that you can have multiple tabs in GoodNotes too. And like highlighter, it's so important when you want to highlight stuff to be able to highlight over text. Isn't that why we have iPads? Okay, Notability, same thing. Highlighting, oh, that's a nice highlighter. So what Apple Notes is actually best at though, is converting your handwriting to text. Now, I will say OneNote is probably the most impressive with taking sloppy handwriting and getting the actual translation correct, but Apple Notes is the only one that takes no matter what size your handwriting is and converts it back to only one size text. You can really only have a single text size in Apple Notes unless you specify otherwise, you know, for a header or something. And that is so good because it just makes sense to have all of your text the same, whether you're typing it out or converting it from handwritten notes. When I have handwritten notes and it's kind of sloppy and all over the place, it does not do me any good to have really big text over here, medium text over here, small text over here when converting from your handwriting. So Apple Notes takes the crown in this category. However, I will say OneNote and Notability does a good job, but again, just that weird text size conversion, I just don't like it. And GoodNotes has this functionality, but the way that you get it back into your note is really weird. You have to take an extra step to copy and paste the text. So overall, if that feature is important for you, GoodNotes is just, it's not that good. When it comes to search features, you know, Apple Notes is pretty powerful because we have hashtags now. So when you're searching, say, search, you can find where you use the hashtag, where you have handwritten actually search. However, I will say with Apple Notes, it doesn't actually highlight the word that's handwritten. So if you're searching for that, it's really hard to find if your notes are kind of complicated. All of the other ones do a good job. If you're searching a word in the note, it'll really highlight that handwritten word. So in OneNote, it did a good job of finding and highlighting. However, it was just kind of confused. It wasn't the most accurate. When we searched food, it found words like fool and other close ones, but it was trying, and it does highlight those words, and that happens also in GoodNote and Notability. Let's talk about the lasso tool, because this is a powerful tool in note-taking apps. Where it's going to be the most helpful in Apple Notes is if you want to select a handwritten word, you can then say copy and paste as text, which I find that as the most helpful. Or you can select a block of text or handwritten notes, move it to another section of your note. Where it gets really cool, and I think this is where GoodNotes really stands out, and I follow a few YouTubers that are basically, I think they're like Korean YouTubers, and a big thing that they do with GoodNotes is do travel journals or calendars. And they take these elements that they create or they find online, there might be a marketplace for them, and they bring them into GoodNotes and basically kind of like digitally scrapbook. And I encourage you to check out their channels, they're really cool. I'll link them in the description below. It's just like, it's almost ASMR as well, because they use the paper-like screen film on top of their iPad, and it makes it sound like they're using a pencil. And so I think GoodNotes saw this, and they basically built in this functionality to create your own stickers, which are basically repeatable assets that you can bring into the notes and just pop into your notes. Previously, they would basically multitask with the Files app, and they would bring in those pictures or assets from another app, but they would just have files over to the right, they would drag them over, and now that's built into GoodNotes, and you can use the lasso tool to create your own elements and you can reuse them. So GoodNotes, it doesn't have good table functionality like I mentioned in Apple Notes and OneNote, but there is a way to work around that in GoodNotes. Maybe you make one table with all of the shapes and then you save it as an element and you can just reuse that. So GoodNotes is cool. It's the one I have the least amount of experience in. Notability is what I used back in my college days a decade ago, but GoodNotes is probably the most complex, But in the same vein that I like Notion, I think that's why people really get into GoodNotes, because there's a lot of nooks and crannies you can seek out. But if you're looking for a basic note-taking app, it's not GoodNotes. The lasso tool in Notability is good. It does the basic functions. And in OneNote, really in OneNote, you only use it to move text around. Now, in the Windows 2-in-1 version, if you're using this on a Windows device, you can use the AI feature of converting the handwritten text, lassoing, copying, and pasting as text, but you can't do that on the iPad version, unfortunately. Up next, something called the perspective tool. Now, this is something that only GoodNotes and Notability has. Notability has had this for a long time. I use this and it was really great. Again, back in my day when there wasn't an official Apple Pencil, you could get really precise by using this tool. It basically blows up the section that you're going to write in, and it's just much easier to get really detailed, and then it's all pretty nice, and I wouldn't say small text, but it's basically handwritten text the same size as normal text, so your notes just look normal. And the way Notability does it actually makes much more sense, where you're drawing and then it just moves you to the next line. GoodNotes tries to do this, but it gets a little confusing how they move it around. Apple Notes doesn't have anything like this, and that's why I still think the handwritten note experience on Apple Notes is just not it. It is not there yet. OneNote doesn't have a perspective tool, but remember, you can zoom in and out as much as you want. So combining just the size of your pencil stroke or your pen, and with zooming and zooming out, you can find a really good cadence of writing and it being small, medium, large, however you want. So that's kind of like a good middle ground. And the last thing I will say, I touched on collaboration earlier with Apple Notes, and we can share notes now, which is so exciting. Notability, there isn't actually like any real collaboration. You can export it as a PDF and then send the note to someone, but you're not going to have that live collaboration like you will in Apple Notes or OneNote. You can actually share notebooks with people. My mom actually uses OneNote. She shares it with multiple people. She makes these really complicated tables. And so even though OneNote seems cumbersome to people with the infinite scroll, it is so powerful. So it does have collaboration on there. And then GoodNotes also has collaboration, and you just share via a link. So it's a little less involved, but there is a level to that. So man, I think that's everything. And you know, it's so funny that I'm like, I want my videos to be shorter, but I'm not going to say that anymore. You guys are just going to have to accept when I give you a 23-minute video. Is that how long this has been? Maybe. That's what it is. You know, I have a lot of information to share, especially for you students out there. I hope you have a great school year. I hope maybe this helped you if you have a new iPad or 2-in-1. I'm like team 2-in-1. I love that because it's a computer and a tablet in one. In that case, I would definitely go with OneNote. But have a great school year, and if you're not in school, have fun writing notes for your job or your creative job. I use a plethora of tools. I think you're pretty aware. I use Notion for my team, like when I'm talking to people and collaborating, keeping track of videos. I use OneNote as my personal note-taking app. No one else has access to that. And also, surprisingly, I started using my actual physical notebooks again, almost as kind of just like jotting down random things and also journaling a little bit, because I started to journal in OneNote, and even though it has end-to-end encryption, Notion does not have that. I was just like, I can't have the things I'm writing in the digital world on a thing that's attached to the internet. I just, you know, I'm like, the things that I'm writing to my future grandchildren, I don't want the internet, you know, for a leak to happen, the internet to know. So that's kind of my workflow. Also, Milanote I'm using a lot for our renovations, basically, you know, putting a lot of pictures. And so there's so many tools. That's a whole nother video, but if you're wondering, trying to answer your questions proactively. Let me know if you like this video. Hit that subscribe button down below for new videos every single week, and make sure to check out my Squarespace link. Man, what a powerful tool Squarespace is when it comes to just sharing your portfolio, building a business. Check it out, subscribe, and until next time, the only thing that you can do is to stay peachy. Okay, bye.